Fabius Bile, also known as the Primogenitor and Clone Lord, is the former chief apothecary of the Emperor's Children Traitor Legion. Unlike the other members of his legion, Fabius Bile did not devote himself to the worship of the Chaos god Slaanesh, nor did he fall into the trap of decadence and sensual excess that claimed the majority of the Legion's warriors. Instead, Bile chose to focus more on scientific pursuits, particularly in the field of genetic manipulation. The Clone Lord has, over the millennia, created countless numbers of abominations and aberrant monstrosities, with some of the most infamous being his enhanced Astartes. With the knowledge that Fabius had gleaned from his experiments, the apothecary would seek to improve the human gene pool, and over time would succeed in engineering an entirely new strain of humanity, known appropriately enough as his New Men. These new men would prove to be larger, stronger, and faster than baseline humans, and in some cases even capable of producing acidic bodily fluids, thanks to Bile utilizing stripped-down Astartes gene seed in their creation. The Clone Lord's fascination with genetic manipulation would prove so great that for a time, Bile became a student of the homunculi coven known as the 13 Scars, and would receive an expanded education in the art of flesh crafting from the Drukhari. Like the title bestowed upon him suggests, Fabius Bile is an expert in the art of cloning. The apothecary has created a multitude of clones in his image to serve as replacement bodies should his current form perish, either upon the field of battle or due to succumbing to the affliction known as the Blight. Upon his death, his consciousness will transfer into one of these empty biological duplicates, allowing Bile to become reborn once more. But the clones created by Bile were not just limited to those based upon his own genetic template, for the Clone Lord has managed to create numerous replicas of the Primarchs, the genetically engineered sons of the Emperor of Mankind. While several of these clones were little more than abject failures, as shown with his clone of Lorgar, a number of these clones were shown to be perfect duplicates of their original template, including the multiple clones of Ferrus Manus, a clone of Horus, and a clone of Fulgrim. While it is unclear as to how Bile would become so knowledgeable about the Primarch genome, it has been speculated that the apothecary obtained such information from the Alpha Legion double agents that sabotaged the Raven Guard Legion's Raptor project, which made use of the data and untainted genetic material utilized in the Emperor's original Primarch project. The clones of Ferrus Manus, Horus, and Fulgrim developed by Bile were not only perfect from a physical standpoint, but somewhat surprisingly also retained a number of their template's memories as well as their personalities. The clone of Horus, for example, would recognize Abaddon the Despoiler as being his gene son, although this moment of sentimentality displayed by the clone would eventually result in its death. The clone of Fulgrim would remember and even show remorse over the death of Ferrus Manus, which the original had killed during the events of the Istvan V drop site massacre. Because of these clones being able to access the memories and emotions of the individuals that they are derived from, this has led some to speculate on the nature of any souls belonging to clones, especially when taking into account that the souls belonging to some of their original templates appear to no longer exist. So in spite of their status of being biological duplicates, could these clones possess true souls of their own? To oversimplify, a soul is the psychic reflection of a sentient entity that, once free from the confines of its physical body, dissipates into the warp, a plane of existence that is sometimes known as the Sea of Souls. The more psychically sensitive an individual, the more powerful and potent a soul they have. For example, the souls of the Eldari, who are a highly psychic species, have souls that have been likened to roaring bonfires in terms of potency and brightness. Humanity, by contrast, is a race that holds a strong psychic potential, having souls more akin to a burning torch, strong but by no means as powerful as those of the Eldari. Yet despite having souls weaker than that of the Eldari, the souls of humans are still far more potent than that of the Tau, who have yet to evolve psykers of any kind within their species, and thus their souls are considered to be weak and dim. Those beings without souls of any kind, known more commonly as blanks or pariahs, will produce as a side effect of their condition a negative warp presence, which enshrouds the soulless with an aura of nullification. This aura not only nullifies the effects of warp-based energies within their immediate vicinity, effectively rendering them immune to the abilities of psykers, but also causes extreme pain to those who are psychically gifted, as well as instilling a feeling of intense discomfort and unease within those who have little to no psychic potential. It would appear, at least initially, that clones do indeed harbour some form of soul within them. This is supported by the fact that when the Thousand Sun sorcerer Iskandar Kaon battled alongside the nascent Black Legion against the clone of Horus, the clone's presence did not prevent Kaon from utilising his powers, though this replica of Horus was still able to withstand the sorcerer's psychic assault. Nonetheless, it would appear that these clones do not share the same souls as their original template. This is supported by two important facts. The soul of the true Fulgrim has long since been claimed by the Chaos god Slaanesh following the Primarch's ascension to demonhood, while the soul of the original Horus was supposedly destroyed in its entirety following the War Master's battle against the Emperor during the final hours of the Horus heresy. However, it is worth noting that fragments of the War Master's soul appeared to be still conducting their labours for the ruinous powers within the realm of chaos just prior to the Siege of Terror, as shown within the novel Slaves to Darkness. While the clone of Horus was initially created by Fabius Bile during the earlier years of the Horus heresy, as detailed within the short story Imperfect, and thus could theoretically have obtained a sliver of the original soul prior to his death, the clone of Fulgrim would not be created until long after the original's ascension to demonhood, and his soul being obtained by Slaanesh. Because of this, if clones truly have souls of their own, then they must be utterly separate and distinct from those of their original templates. While certain mechanical constructs have been documented as artificially generating their own true souls, such as the Warlord Titan Luxor Invictoria or the Gloriana-class ship the Vengeful Spirit, it would appear that the souls of living organisms are created as a byproduct through some unknown biological process. This is supported by the existence of the so-called pariah gene, a genetic abnormality that is speculated to manifest within roughly 1 in 10 billion individuals. This particular mutation, despite technically not being regulated to just a singular gene, is what prevents an individual from producing a soul by inhibiting the processes involved in its development, and as a byproduct from their lack of soul, those who bear the pariah gene will begin to exhibit a negative warp presence. Because there is a clear biological process that prevents a soul from developing, this would appear to support the notion that clones would indeed develop authentic souls of their own as they grow to maturation, with the exception of those that may bear the pariah gene. The only major question that remains concerning clones and any theoretical souls that they may have is that if they do indeed harbour genuine souls of their own, then how would these particular souls compare to those of their original template? If the process that results in a development and gestation of a soul within a clone is identical to that of their template, then it would stand to reason that the soul of a clone would in time grow to be just as potent as the original. The only major differences that could potentially arise would come from either any theoretical environmental factors that could influence the development of a soul, or any chaotic corruption or lack thereof that may have infected the original being, such as by being marked by one of the Chaos Gods prior to when their raw genetic material was harvested. given the specific emotions experienced by the clone of Fulgrim, such as the previously mentioned remorse it felt over the death of Ferrus Manus, it would certainly prove to be a distinct possibility that should any clones ever meet their chaotically tainted template, then conflict would inevitably arise. However, in regards to the Primarch clones, it is admittedly unlikely that such a situation will ever take place, due to the fact that the original Ferrus Manus and Horus are long dead, along with their respective clones, and the only surviving clone of Fulgrim that is known to exist currently resides within the collection of the Necron Lord, Trazyn the Infinite. As such, these particular questions are likely to never be truly answered, and thus we can only speculate. What do you think? Leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.